I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Not have sex with that woman. Nope. Not a single time. Not a single time. Nope. I did not.
That right there is Tricky Bill, the former president of the United States, who right now is in hot water along with Dershowitz and a lot of other powerful people and institutions like the FBI, since we just had the latest document drop surrounding Jeffrey Epstein. And holy cow, do we have bombshell news and revelations, as we're going to be going over some of the biggest, most important revelations that we just got from this data dump. Lots of things to go over. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Luke Radowski of WeAreChange.org, here on an independent media organization that has been talking about Jeffrey Epstein ever since the mainstream media was promoting him as some kind of great entrepreneur, financer, guru guy. Yeah, that's literally where we were a couple years ago, by the way. And that's why I sincerely wanted to thank everyone supporting us on wearechange.org/donate. We are fully 100% demonetized, shadow banned, and heavily censored. And only because of your help could we continue our work. There's many ways you could help us out, whether with one-time donations, $5 donations, cryptocurrencies, which have been going up dramatically recently, physical mail, and if you're struggling like the most of us are, you could also support us without spending a single dime on this very important section. It's all on wearechange.org/donate. If you enjoy all the work that I've been doing for, I think, over 15 years now, definitely support us on this website. Now, just jumping into this very important story, we also have to be reminded that many of the documents still have not been released. The portion that was just recently released a couple hours ago mainly has to do with testimony from Virginia Roberts. There's a lot of other documents that, of course, we'll be going over. Some of it, when released, was actually redacted, but I'm hearing that other people are actually finding their way around this redaction, and already, just with these documents alone, we have major bombshell stories that confirm what we've been saying for a very long time, was that Bill Clinton was on the child-abusing pedo island with Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and according to Virginia Roberts, 2 young girls. Now again, this is after multiple private flights with Jeffrey Epstein that the former U.S. President Bill Clinton had with the child trafficker Jeffrey Epstein on his child abuse island. Something, of course, that deserves a lot of scrutiny and public attention. And so far, I've only seen Newsweek pick up this story from the testimony of Virginia Roberts from these newly released documents. And at least they're covering the story. Meanwhile, I would classify the other mainstream media coverage of this very lackluster, to say the least, if non-existent in many places. Of course, the Daily Mail is also picking up this major headline revelation from these documents. There's a lot of revelations we're going to get into in just a little bit. But specifically with Bill Clinton, this wasn't the only revelation that we found out and was corroborated. As previously, we've seen ABC News anchor Amy Robosh in a video released by Project Veritas, specifically talking about pictures and having, quote, everything on people like President Bill Clinton and Prince Andrew. Virginia Roberts also testified under oath that Epstein was boasting about how Bill Clinton owes him favors, a situation which, quote, Jeffrey Epstein would laugh about. And as you've seen from the introduction video, Tricky Bill doesn't always conduct himself gentlemanly, has a history of lying about his romantic encounters, and I would classify has a hard time keeping it in his pants. I think that's a very fair, accurate depiction, and still, with just this testimony, we're left with a lot of questions about what actually happened. Why was Bill Clinton so closely related to these monsters that abused thousands of children? The documents also release that Ghislaine Maxwell, who by the way is pictured here with Bill Clinton on one of the private airlines that they numerously flew on. By the way, the record is 26 times, but those are documented events. There most likely have been more events with Bill Clinton being involved with these monsters. But this wasn't the only U.S. president mentioned in these documents. Donald Trump was mentioned as well. And according to Virginia Roberts, she had to correct the record and under oath say that Donald Trump did not flirt with her and that any information surrounding that was, quote, inaccurate. Now also, the documents highlighted how Ghislaine Maxwell also most likely lied about, quote, not being in contact with Jeffrey Epstein from a very long time, as these new sealed documents show that they were in communication. She, by the way, was the groomer and also trafficker and abuser of little children. And in an email released, we have a message from Jeffrey Epstein that wrote to Ghislaine Maxwell that, quote, "You have done nothing wrong, and I would urge you to start acting like it. Go outside, head high, not as an escaping convict. Go to parties, deal with it." An email from 2015 which directly contradicts what Ghislaine Maxwell told the courts, lying to the general public when she said that she hasn't had contact with Jeffrey Epstein for more than a decade. Again, a major lie under oath that now finally is being called out. We're also finding out from some of the documents that it was Prince Andrew that put pressure on the U.S. government to give his good old buddy, pal, and friend a, quote, plea deal. The plea deal, by the way, that he got the deal of a lifetime with, which literally saw him only having to sleep in the jail. Yes, Jeffrey Epstein was free and only had to sleep in jail for around a year in a private section wing of his jail. And now, according to these documents, it was Prince Andrew who lobbied for such a soft-handed plea deal, as he called in a, quote, favor. We're also finding out that the Federal Bureau of Investigations, which, by the way, is a sham. We're learning from these documents that the FBI is absolutely corrupted, as we're finding out that the FBI had photos of Ghislaine Maxwell and Prince Andrew and Virginia Roberts all the way back in 2011. We know publicly that there have been victims going to the FBI since the 1990s, but we're also finding out that Jeffrey Epstein was under an 11-month FBI investigation in 2005. There were 40 underage victims, girls that were assaulted by him that came forward then. There's hundreds now. And allegedly, according to the FBI, after Epstein gave information to them, the federal charges were dropped. And you're kind of left here scratching your head. What kind of information exonerates you from committing one of the worst atrocious acts you can on a child? What is that? You would think it would be a goldmine. You would think major, important, corrupted, evil figures would go down. But guess what? There's no correlation. There's no evidence. There isn't even a suggestion of what Jeffrey Epstein allegedly snitched to that led to any sort of consequences. He was supposed to be snitching against major banks. That was the official story run by authorities, but none of that has been manifested. And in my opinion, unless the FBI comes forward with the information of what information Jeffrey Epstein gave to them and what were the consequences for it, they should not be trusted at all, and they deserve the highest level of scrutiny. And in my opinion, after so many people were victimized here, after so many children were hurt here, how can this organization have any legitimacy after that? Again, the FBI, for nearly 3 decades, sat on their buttocks, not doing anything. Meanwhile, victims had to literally email them for photos and evidence so they could actually try to get justice through their own personal civil cases. Again, we still don't know a lot, but we know a lot more than we did yesterday, and that's absolutely a big, major step forward. We have to keep pushing. We have to get more public attention on the monsters involved in this case in order to deal with them, because unless there is accountability, unless there's some justice here, these monsters will continue their heinous acts, and they will continue to hurt and abuse little children. It might be your child next if we allow these monsters to get away with their horrible activities. You think Jeffrey Epstein was just one person? You think he was a sole individual? Nope, he definitely wasn't, and there was a lot more individuals involved that are still walking around scot-free. Alan Dershowitz was also named many times throughout these documents. By the way, he's also the same person that in 1997 wrote ed arguments to get rid of statutory abuse of children, trying to lower the age of consent for physical contact for the age of 14. He has been named 86 times in these documents. So has Prince Andrew. So has former Governor Bill Richardson, a man, by the way, that I made sweat like a pig a few years ago when I asked him about his deplorable, most likely very nasty, disgusting behavior at the Bohemian Grove. Again, our politicians are dirty, disgusting, perverted little piglets who have sold their souls to the devil, most likely, in my opinion. Sorry, I digress. George Mitchell, Glenn Dubin, Marvin Minsky, Jean-Luc Brunet, Stephen Kaufman, Thomas Pritzker, other royalty, princes, hotel owners, all have been named here. All deserve to be held accountable for their actions, and they only will when we have enough public pressure on this story. Share this video with your friends and family members. It is way more important than ever. Again, I've been doing this for about 15 years, and I really do think, and I've been slamming the table here, figuratively and literally slamming the table with my discontent at how a society could have such monsters at the top of it claiming that they're some of the best, most amazing individuals out there, when in reality, they're some of the worst. I'm sick of it. We deserve better. You agree? Share this video. Sincerely, thank you for sponsoring and supporting us. Without you watching, without you being here, I wouldn't be here. And I'm only here because of you. This is why. Love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org.